Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Unfucking Your CX. I am your host, Zack Hamilton, and I'm pretty stoked to invite Sam today. Sam and I have been running the same circles on LinkedIn. We've been tagged in a lot of posts together. I think you and I have even gone back and forth maybe once or twice, but finally, Sam, we've gotten you into the hot seat, man. Welcome.
Zach, it's great to be here with you. I love your content on LinkedIn. And as someone who works at LinkedIn, let me say thank you for bringing such a great conversation to our platform.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually really looking forward to today's conversation. One, because it is a platform, you are working at a platform where so many users leverage this tool, right? From a professional piece. And I'm curious just to dig into um, what's making you cringe right now. I'm sure there's a lot of shit on LinkedIn that's making you cringe.
Yes. Well, so I truly do mean the compliment when I say I love your content, because what makes me cringe more than anything is that people are sort of practicing the definition of insanity, which is doing the same thing over and over again and thinking they'll get different results.
Yeah.
And specifically within the customer experience world, I see people obsessed with finding and fixing pain points in the experience as the full extent of their customer experience team's strategy. And that just breaks my heart because we've been trying this for more than 20 years, probably going back into the late 20th century of, hey, we'll just figure out what's not working and we'll fix it. And we have ample evidence to tell us today that doesn't work. You cannot actually make a transformative experience by simply fixing what's broken. And the build on that, the V2 of that seems to only be, we're going to make it as effortless and frictionless as possible. Well, if you succeed, you leave the customer with nothing to remember about you, and that's not much better than them remembering you negatively. It is a little better, but it's not much better because they won't think of you in the future again. So the end game here doesn't work, and the process to get there doesn't work, and yet we keep running the same playbook.
Yeah, what's so interesting about this, Sam, is I'm with you, right? I think about, I talk about friction a lot just because there's so many organizations who haven't even done a fucking thing, right? Like all they're doing is collecting an NPS and they're reporting out on PowerPoint slides. And, they have customers who, they spent so like their customer acquisition so high. They spent so much money on customers to come top of funnel under their
Yeah,
website, whatever it may be, and then they just never return and they wonder why. And part of
right.
this is, well, if you look along their journey, they probably have like 4+ frictions that they just survived through it because they had to get this gift for Christmas, right? Because their kid absolutely wanted it. But I'm curious, and you brought this up of, hey, we're not just about finding friction. So when you think about that, what else is there outside of just friction? Talk to us a little bit.
Yeah, good. Well, and the goal here is for us to, us to have a friendly disagreement. So I'll
Yeah.
disagree with you a little bit. Yeah, I think there is a lot of friction in experiences, a lot that we need to remove. However, for example, we're talking here in mid-December. I'm buying a lot of presents for my wife, my daughters online. With Apple Pay, they've removed all the friction, right?
Yeah.
I add the thing to my cart, I double click, it inputs my address, my payment method. There's no friction. I literally don't remember which companies I bought which things from. They don't have a relationship with me. So they've removed all friction and removed anything that ties me to them brand wise. So yes, they got that business, but no, I am not their customer. And that's the problem. Like, you've done nothing to cement me to your brand. You had a product that I want to buy for one person one time. There's no relationship here. And that doesn't make you a going concern. That makes you a one off brand that probably won't be there next year to get my next Christmas purchase, let alone any incremental business between now and
Yeah, fair, fair. And I think what you're talking about in this journey, because I'm with you. I mean, I absolutely love Apple Pay, right? It is so easy. And quite frankly, I get pissed off when brands don't have Apple Pay. Quite frankly, I'll probably abandon my shopping cart because who wants to pull
yeah,
their credit or debit card out and input those numbers, right? We just don't have time for it. I mean, I think that's petty to say that, like, I don't have 30 seconds to input my debit or credit card, but that behavior's just been trained, right? Like, hit Apple Pay,
100%.
validate, through the camera, who you are. And so when I think about that, though, Sam, your specific kind of use case, I actually think it's part of that post-purchase experience, though. That's the responsibility of building that relationship with you, right? While you're anticipating that merchandise to be delivered.
Zach, this is why I like talking to people like you. Because you're going deep on this topic. Because the surface level answer is people say, well, oh, you're saying they shouldn't enable Apple Pay? Like, you should leave the friction in? And that's not what I'm saying. Like, to your point, it's now like a must do, right? To put Apple Pay in. It is such a delightful little moment in the experience, except it's one I associate with Apple, not with your brand. So what can you do? You've had this frictionless experience, and I don't even remember that I bought anything from you, and you're 100% right. You have several days, maybe only a day or two if it's fast shipping, but you still have a window of time from when I bought the product to when it is delivered. You have the unboxing experience you control. You have the notifications about the item coming to my house. You have the product itself. You have the inserts in the box that come with the product. There are endless opportunities from post-purchase to when product arrives and in the product experience where you can reinforce your value, your brand, give me as the customer or the person I bought the gift for or both reasons to want to become your customer or want to be your customer again.
Absolutely.
And that's right. And that's a constraint, right? The constraint is Apple Pay is too good to not use, but it also doesn't leave anything for them to remember about us. So what can we do with that constraint? Well, we can work on the post-purchase experience exactly as you said.
Yeah, and look, I'll even go one off here on this is I ordered something on Black Friday, right? It's a Shopify brand, right? That they've built their e-commerce platform on Shopify. I'll say this, fucking hate like I don't want to download the shop app to try and track my purchase. I went into my Apple Pay and clicked it because I used Apple Pay for it, and I still couldn't find it. And quite
Yeah.
frankly, they're leaving it up to their third party delivery. So
Yeah.
FedEx, UPS, or USPS to control that experience. And quite frankly, I mean, I spent over $200 on this single item, and I'm like, where the fuck is this thing at? I mean, I
Yeah. Yeah.
ordered it a week ago, and I don't even have an order confirmation.
And honestly, and that's another one. So again, expectations from outside of your brand, your industry, your experience permeate into what's expected, right?
Yeah.
That kind of traceability, you take that to Uber, you take that to so many other experiences, your Starbucks order, you know exactly where it is in the process. They're giving you these updates. We expect that kind of traceability, that transparency now. And so if you can't deliver that, or if the expectation is I have to download an app to get that, that's just not good enough.
Yeah, it builds additional kind of unwanted friction into my process, right? Where I want
That's
it
right.
to be a little bit more streamlined. So I got a question for you, Sam. Before we get into your player tips to really unfuck this and really just instead of just always just thinking about friction, I think about customer experience from, hey, look, there's really kind of four layers to this. Right. And when you think about these kind of four layers of customer experience, you can't just like jump over one of them. That first one it's really around this like transactional layer. So think about this is where all that kind of friction, right? Let me log into my account, give me my order tracking. But quite frankly, if you don't do this right, you can easily lose my trust, which drives emotional connection. And so when you
That's
think
right.
about just that, the very first layer, to your point, understand who I am, what I want, what my expectations are, and just deliver on those. How does a company do that effectively when you think about the only thing we that removing friction is not the only thing we do?
Right. Yeah. So I love that question because I think to me actually the way I would conceive of it is you're sort of bringing in together how I think of the first two layers, which is one, you have to have products and services I care about for me to even consider you. And then two, which was the part that I think you were combining them, which is fine, like your model works too, is you have to make it easy for me to access those and go through and buy and use. And so effectiveness and ease. You fly me to where I want to go and you make it a pleasant, easy experience to book the flight, get on the flight and fly. And I think in those cases, you absolutely want to remove as much friction as possible to discovery, one, and then use, right? You want that to be easy. You want that to be seamless. What I would say in doing that, and this is actually if I can preview my first player tip,
Absolutely.
you aren't Most companies don't deliver a good experience today, but you are not universally hopeless. There are some instances, some flights, some locations, some individuals, some teams that do a good job or do better than the rest of your mediocre experience. Who are they that are consistently doing this? What are they doing? Go and study them. Study your bright spots and try to understand when our company is at its best, what separates the top performers from our average performers who are consistently top performers. Because you break down this amazing like psychological trick that people play to avoid changing, which is, well, that'll never work here. If you're saying, well, Uber does it like this or Amazon does it like this, whichever, reference brand you want to use. We're saying we do it like this at this location or in this instance or this individual does it and they're doing it in our environment. So we can't say it's not possible here. It's happening. Let's figure out how do we scale and replicate that behavior or that activity to other parts of our business and other situations.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and I'm with you. Like it, so I have transactional, and then to your point, it's that next one, and I agree with you. And you really think about, Amazon, of course, everyone references them just because they have. I think they've changed the way that consumers have behaved and have just set the standard right when it comes to convenience and ease. Like I think of that as the Amazon effect, right?
Yes.
It's another piece that retailers have to meet on. Amazon now has created, they've turned basically your bedroom or your bathroom into your own fitting room, right? With their try before you buy it. And so now there's that expectation because Amazon allows you to try it, return it for free. They don't charge you, a restocking fee. But now these retailers have to keep up. And I think where they're getting it wrong is now they're charging restocking fees, they're charging returning fees when they could easily use technologies that are out there that says, "Oh, would you like to just have a different size?"
Right.
Ship to you right away.
Right.
Right. So to your point, there's like that positive friction though too. It's like, hey, here's our standard, here's how we do it. Now let's scale it. And a lot of that is that means we're gonna have to probably invest in some technology. But too often companies look at technology as a short-term investment versus what's it going to pay off long term.
Yeah, and I think they'll look at technology as the solution rather than saying, okay, here's a process that or a activity or behavior or routine that is working. Let's scaling it with technology. Now that makes sense. You actually have a best practice to scale. If you just implement technology on top of a broken system,
Ugh,
you just get a more expensive mess.
you're
If you
fine.
first study, yeah, exactly. If you first study and diagnose what works when it works, then you actually have something to come in and build to scale with technology rather than the other way.
Absolutely. Sam, what's your second player tip?
Yeah. Okay. So my second player tip is this idea of friction obsession. And again, I want to be on the record as saying I know that there's way too much friction in most experiences and we should remove a lot of it. I'm down with that. But when you do that, you should then be okay with large swaths of your experience being forgettable, so fine. And that's back to our point of like, hey, just implement Apple Pay and don't even worry about it trying to make a great checkout experience, right? And so, but then I would also say is, and you were sort of alluding to this before, if you're a retailer competing with Amazon, that's a tall order. So rather than just trying to match them beat for beat in their experience, everything they do, I think you want to stand out. And sometimes you stand out in ways where it's like, how is that better than Amazon? And it's not. So you might have more expensive shipping. You might have higher prices. You might have shipping that takes longer to get there. But you're optimizing on other criteria that you can beat Amazon on. Like, I don't go to Amazon today and find that it's a particularly curated experience. I don't know if this is a real item or not. Your brand could have truly only high quality items, not these things made in China that are faked to look like they're real items. So there are ways to differentiate against Amazon, but trying to out Amazon is a losing proposition. So I do think be very precise and strategic about what parts of your experience you want to max to 10
Sure.
and which parts you're fine with being 5s, and just make sure it's not the same as Amazon or you will lose.
Yeah, it's that piece of what kind of brand are we, right? Are we
Yeah.
that convenience and ease brand, which is an Amazon? Or to your point, when I think about that unboxing experience, you think about high fashion and luxury, right? We're not going to be
Right.
the most convenient. We might not be the easiest, but quite frankly, you're going to have that luxury experience, that one-to-one personalized, probably digital shopping experience with maybe an agent, like a real life human that's dialing in. They're curating probably an outfit for you. And then, quite frankly, that unboxing experience that most women, I should say, really, really enjoy. I mean, I don't know about you. I love unboxing Apple just to, it's such a great experience. It's clean, but I'm with you. It's like, understand who your brand is, what your customers expect from you, and optimize for that. And that might mean if you're pointing out a friction here, what are you going to do to optimize the rest of the journey to
Exactly.
make sure that you're not unforgettable?
That's right. I think that's it's so important, I think, to say it's not that we have to be as frictionless as we can across the experience. We're going to accept it in certain places because for our brand, for our customers, for our experience, products and services, we understand that that's acceptable to them in this proposition, where in another moment it wouldn't be. And you have to work through that. It's not this going to be the same answer for every company.
Do you think the problem with this is from a friction removal is it happens still in silos? So, we
Yeah,
remove
it
it.
definitely does.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so too, right? We remove the friction in silo because we were told by our CX person, you're fucking our NPS. Like, you've got to fix this. They do it, but they don't really communicate to all the other teams who are working in their own silos. And so, to your point, now we become unforgettable.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really good point. And what I would say just as a general rule is if there is friction in the experience that you have that is like unexplored, unintended, and you don't even know its impact on your customers, you should think our default here is we're going to remove this. We at least need to study it, understand it, and try to minimize it as much as possible. Whereas if there's friction in your experience that you've already done that work and evaluated and decided it's okay because it's not a knockout blow for our customer experience, it's not what our customers remember about the experience, or it's an acceptable operational efficiency, aka having fewer people so that the line is a little bit longer, that again doesn't knock out the experience. A very quick example, but I think most fast food restaurants know how long a drive-through line can be, how long the wait can be before people start leaving the line. And so to say it's got to be even faster, like as in no friction, is wrong. To say it has to be faster than 2 minutes, let's say if that's the threshold, that's correct. And so you want to have that kind of evaluation where you know the answer to what is too much friction. Many companies, I think to your point, have not answered that and have not answered that end to end, so they don't know like the cumulative effect of all the little bits of friction.
Yeah, that's a great point. Living in Atlanta for 9 years, I got hooked on Chick-fil-A, right? Love
Oh
their
yeah.
chicken sandwiches, love their chicken minis in the morning. And to your point, the Cincinnati airport has this nailed, right? I can fly through Cincinnati to get home. And if you walk up to Chick-fil-A, there's typically a line of 15, 20 people. They have two kiosks, like just out kind of in that kind of courtyard.
Yeah.
No one's ever on. I just walk straight to the kiosk, plug my order in, and then they're like calling my name, and everyone in line's like looking at me like, how the hell did he just?
That's so
But they
funny.
but they are trying, right, to one, make that waiting more efficient for travelers trying to catch another plane, get on a plane, or just get home.
Yeah. Oh, and I love those options too, right? To me, and I'm imagining like the people who come once a year to the airport and don't even notice the kiosks, just get in line at the restaurant, their favorite restaurant, and the frequent travelers like yourself who have been there enough to know and to see that. And, you subtly are giving them a better option. It's like, hey, you are a frequent great customer. You should, it's almost like if we could only design it this way, you should get to cut the line because you're here every 2 weeks or whatever your travel schedule is.
Look, that greasy chicken mini is an incredible like red eye waking up.
Oh yeah, I hear that. You're making me hungry right now.
Sam, what's your third player tip?
Okay, third player tip. It's almost never too late to save a bad experience. And going to the idea of service recovery, customer care, I think more companies, should be really, really curious to learn, like what we were talking about earlier with that idea of the post-purchase experience. And then what happens? Did they like the product? Did they use the product? Did they return the product? Follow up with customers to see what happened and with authentic curiosity to find out. Because if it didn't go well, you being authentically curious and following up and caring enough gives you then the permission to try and fix that experience, try and fix that product if it wasn't the right one. There are so many opportunities. People don't expect you to be perfect. They do expect you to fix things when you're not. And to me, not enough companies give themselves enough opportunities to fix things when they weren't perfect.
Yeah, I'm with you on this. I think too often we just wait for that
Yeah.
survey to come back, right? Where they're a detractor,
Yeah.
or we set an alert on a negative topic in our text analytics. And
That's right.
again, really listening to a few, right? Anymore. I mean, average survey response rates now are below 8% on average. So when you think about that, it's like, to your point, you're not engaging with your customers and they want to engage with you. Like, from a, we want to engage, you have to give us a reason to engage.
That's right. That's right. And honestly, like, I would say you're hearing probably on the survey right there. I think it'll vary by brand or by interaction, but you're often hearing from the vocal
Yeah.
ends, the barbells, right? And I would say the vocally negative, I don't want to totally generalize, right? Some of them are savable, but I'm contradicting myself here slightly. But a lot of them are you wronged so badly or they're so mad, there's no coming back from that. But if you reached out to more of those people who will never contact you anymore because they don't care to, right? They're not happy, but they're not mad enough to tell you about it. They're savable. Like a lot more of
Absolutely.
them, a higher percentage of them are savable if you bothered to give them that opening to tell you what would save the experience for them.
Absolutely. Or they actually had a good experience, right? You delivered on it. Now you're
Yeah.
just creating that connection to give them a reason to come back, right?
No, absolutely. I always talk about this as you can rewrite the negative experience memory, overwrite it essentially, or you can reinforce the positive experience memory with that kind of outreach where they were happy, but like their memory of what happened is going down over time because that's how our memories work. And you reach out and remind them of it by seeing if everything was okay. It actually makes the memory more vivid, more salient, and then they are therefore more likely to think of you in the future when they need your product or service.
Sam, that's such a great point to end on. Look, dude, I would love to keep this conversation going, but one of the things that our listeners love the most is short 15, 20-minute hits. So if there's anyone who is just intrigued about LinkedIn or want to, continue this dialogue with you, where can they find you?
On LinkedIn, of course. But yes, find me on LinkedIn. I'm posting there twice a week. Have a podcast comes out once a week. Um, I love hearing from our customers. I would say the balance of what I'm hearing a lot of negative stuff, and I want to hear it all. Negative stuff, I mean, the information you're sharing with me, I'm feeding to our product team, to my colleagues internally. They want to hear it too. Right now, for example, I just want to give one example, Zach, which is, there's a lot of talk about the gender bias of our algorithm and a lot of proof points, I would say. And internally, I could use more evidence for that. And I'm not saying everyone has to go out and run their own gender, change experiment, only to say, if you're doing this and you see someone else's post on this, tag me into it. I'd love to be involved in those conversations.
Yeah, there's one I'll tag you in. I'm sure you've seen it because I know she's really vocal with you. It's our friend over in Europe, but
Yes.
I'll tag you.
Marion, yes. So
Yeah, yeah, Marianne.
I'm on that one. But yes,
Hers was
more
really
like that. Thank you.
I saw that. But dude, it's been awesome.
Yeah.
Dude,
Thanks for
come
having me,
back to
Zach.
the hot seat. Would love to have you on again.
I appreciate that. Great chatting with you.